Hi, good day everyone, and welcome to this week's Discourse on Gender and Religion. It is presented by Amanda Richardson, Sabrina Mohammed, Stacey Ganja, Ariel Polaya, and Nisha Exeter. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Just to cover some basic definitions so there won't be any confusion. Religion, according to Emily Durkheim, is a unified system of beliefs and practices related to sacred things. Gender, according to Mooney 2008, is the social definitions and expectations associated with being male or female. Gender inequality, refers to a legal, social, and cultural situation in which sex and/or gender determine different rights and dignity for men and women, which are reflected in their unequal access to or enjoyment of rights, as well as the assumptions of stereotypes, social and cultural rules. Our objectives are to explore gender inequality in various religious beliefs, to examine the acceptance of homosexuality in various religious beliefs, and to explore the sociological perspectives and their views on religion.
Good day, everyone. This is the summary of Article 2, Pope Francis, Female Catholic Priests Are Never Happening, summarized by Sabrina Mohammed. This article highlights the Pope's view on Catholicism, allowing women to be ordained as female priests. He stated that his stance on the matter was similar to that of St. Pope John Paul II, who closed the door completely on female priesthood. According to the article, proponents of a female priesthood are hoping that the future pope might overturn the decision, particularly because of the shortage of priests around the world. The Catholic Church believes that women cannot be priests because Jesus only chose men to serve as his apostles, but those who are advocating for women priests are arguing that he was following what was considered the norm in his time. The Catholic Church also banned women from becoming deacons, but equality campaigners are hoping that would change and women would become more recognized in the Catholic Church. Religious and gender inequality. Religions state that both men and women are equal, but many religions and denominations continue to treat each gender differently. In most cultures and religions, protocols regarding faith are applied more strictly to women than men, especially when it comes to place of worship or of religious importance. Women are segregated in mosques. Some temples prohibit women from entering the sanctum, and other temples prohibit women from entering at all. These decrees, which are almost always in some way about regulating women, are issued by religious bodies that are male hegemonies. In some religions, women are seen as unclean when going through their menstrual flow and are shunned from participating in certain religious activities. Religion and gender inequality continued. Gender inequality belongs among the most prevalent forms of social inequality and exists all over the world, with different effects in different regions. These differences are primarily due to cultural legacies, historical development, geographic location, and, last but not least, the religious norms which predominate in society. The status of women in society is an outcome of the interpretation of religious texts and of the cultural and institutional setup of religious communities. The role of religion is, obviously, complex and it varies across time and space. The research of religion was done by Sabrina Mohammed.
Hi all, this is Stacey Ganga and I'll be dealing with gender and Rastafarianism. The Rastafarian religion is steeped in Judaism, but also shares some resemblance to Christianity. In the Rastafarian religion, there has been no change in the male role in relation to the female sex. The male role still seems to be one of empowerment. The religion is still very patriarchal in nature, as is the custom with most of the Western civilization. This imbalance is a part of the mainstream culture and is also prevalent in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The teachings of these religions perpetuate the imbalance. So even though the religion started since in the 1930s in Jamaica, the views of male dominance still exist today. Gender discrimination is inescapable in spite of all the names used to refer to women, example royal princess and queen. Women still must define themselves. Jamaicans have, within recent years, changed their patterns of behavior, but have done so without their womenfolk. Rastafarianism, therefore, emerged as a male-dominated religion. The woman's role became subordinate within the Rasta culture and society. Discrimination in the religion dates back to the days of slavery. The Kenyan tribes, such as the Mau Mau, showed unequal treatment of women, but this discrimination has continued in the Jamaican society. Rastafarianism's traditional and oppressive gender roles have limited Jamaican women from achieving an equal identity in the Jamaican society. In modern society, Jamaican women have begun to establish themselves as equal and self-sufficient individuals in their religion. They have used mediums such as published books, articles, and music to spread equality, and this has birthed the new Rastafari, which consists of both women and men taking equally respectful roles. As previously stated, Rastafarianism's traditional and oppressive gender roles have limited Jamaican women from achieving an equal identity in Jamaican society. The ancient belief has long been a part of Rastafarian gender discriminations, as Rasta men are instilled with the belief that women are not capable of understanding the theological complexities of Rastafari, and therefore do not have the freedom to take part in the central Rasta rituals, such as sharing the chalice on their own. And this illustration shows the contradictory problem with the Rastafarian struggle for equality in the world. This power and equality as a people will never be reached if Rastafari views on women do not change. Gender roles in Rastafarianism. Rastafarianism has certain rules that apply to women only. One of their main rules are to look after their kings or their husbands. They are taught to submit to their husbands and refer to them as gods. They, the women, are referred to as queens, empress, moon goddess, and queen omega. These names place them on a pedestal that seem to make them inhumane. The issue with this is that on one hand they are taught to be subordinate, and on the other they are worshipped. Either portrayal has a negative effect on the roles of Rasta women because they have an unequal and unnatural expectation to live by. Rasta women are regarded as housekeepers and childbearers. They are thought of as a mere extension of their men with no real purpose in life except to reproduce and support their husbands. The men, however, are regarded as the chief breadwinner. Rasta women must not commit infidelity. They are strong in their views of monogamy with women, but the men are excused and given a pass if found in similar situations. These unfair circumstances theorize why Rasta men are more polygamous than Rasta women. Women cannot be leaders. In the workforce, the women are subjected to bias and unfair treatment. The men are paid higher wages, whereas the women are paid little or nothing at all. They are generally discouraged from seeking employment outside of the home, which makes them very dependent on their menfolk. This does not mean, however, that they do not seek outside employment. Sometimes they are forced to because of their husband's polygamous lifestyle. In Jamaica, they are turning to farming or selling their handmade items. Their subservient lifestyles is also evident by the fact that they use no makeup and are expected to wear conservative clothes that are neither extravagant nor provocative. Women may not wear men's clothing, such as trousers, and their heads must be preferably covered. Rasta women are restricted from even exposing their entire heads in public to ensure their complete subservience to men. They are regarded as unclean during menstruation and may not have any contact with their menfolk. The men fear that the woman will contaminate them with their poisonous powers. This defamation of woman is further codified in Rasta's use of derogatory Jamaican curse words such as blood clot and rasclat, referring to their menstruation.
Christianity and gender. Throughout history, Christianity has significantly contributed to perceptions of gender roles and identities, as well as inequality between men and women. Early Christianity attempted to create unity amongst its followers. It allowed women to have positions and roles of status in the church, where they didn't have it outside because of the discriminatory Roman laws that was affecting them. However, over the years, Christianity began to grow under the Roman Empire, and its views and teachings began to change. They accepted views of non-influential Christian men that women were irrational and unequal in virtue in comparison to men. Other influential Christian men also perpetuated the sentiment that the only purpose of woman was procreation. Various Bible scriptures were used as a means to justify men having the authority over and being viewed as superior to women. Christianity has developed a patriarchal mindset over the time that seeks to keep women in subservience to men, especially in marriage and their place in the church. It imposes upon women's roles and positions that are very prejudiced and oppressive, and which encourage gender inequality between men and women. Women are limited to being homemakers, raising and caring for children, being submissive to their husbands, and being subjected to non-leadership roles in the church. Men, on the other hand, are encouraged to having positions and roles of leadership and being figures of authority in the church and at home. Recently, Christianity has developed a more positive attitude towards women. This change in attitude towards and treatment of women by Christian churches is influenced by a renewed understanding of various Bible scriptures. This increased acceptance of women is also influenced by Jesus' treatment of women and the belief gained from scriptures that men and women are created equally by God and in His image. This has led to women becoming an important and influential part of Christian churches, just as they were on the onset of Christianity. Some churches today have become more accepting of women in positions of leadership in the church and have actually allowed them into such positions. The equality and oneness of both men and women in marriage is also supported and encouraged by some churches. This influences the treatment and attitudes of society towards women and has allowed for women to achieve relative equality in many aspects of their lives. Now let's look at homosexuality in Christianity. Christianity has contributed to and continues to contribute to prejudice and discriminatory attitudes towards homosexuals and other LGBTQ persons. These individuals are considered immoral and abominations by many Christian churches because of their alternative lifestyles. As a result, many homosexuals become victims of inequality in many areas of their lives, as they are denied various rights and privileges and are oppressed by some societies due to the influence of Christianity. Christianity perpetuates the view that only heterosexuality and heterosexual relationships should be allowed as it is ordered by God. Therefore, sexual unions, other than those between a man and a woman, are met with fierce opposition. It can be said, however, that a tolerance for homosexuality and LGBTQ persons are very slowly increasing among some Christians, in particular among those of the younger generation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Nisha Exeter and I will be dealing with Islam and gender. Islam is one of the largest religions in the world with over 1 billion followers. It is a monotheistic faith based on revelations received by the Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century Saudi Arabia. The Arabic word Islam means submission, reflecting the faith's central tenet of submitting to the will of God. Followers of Islam are called Muslims. The sacred text of Islam, the Quran, was written in Arabic within 30 years of Muhammad's death. Muslims believe it contains the literal word of God. In today's modern society, many individuals have a negative perception of the Islamic religion, especially as it pertains to the expected roles of the Muslim men and women. Some believe that Muslim women are oppressed by their religion, forced to cover themselves completely, denied education and other basic rights. It is true that Muslim women, like women all over the world, have struggled against inequality and restrictive practices in education, workforce participation, and family rules. Many of these oppressive practices, however, do not come from Islam itself, but are part of local cultural traditions. To think about the difference between religion and culture, ask yourself if the high rate of domestic violence in the United States is related to Christianity, the predominant religion. Islam gives women a number of rights, some of which were not enjoyed by Western women until the 19th century. For example, until 1882, the property of women in England was given to their husbands when they married, but Muslim women always retained their own assets. Muslim women could specify conditions in their marriage contracts, such as the right to divorce should their husband take another wife. Also, Muslim women in many countries keep their own last name after marriage. The Quran explicitly states that men and women are equal in the eyes of God. Furthermore, the Quran instructs Muslims to educate their daughters as well as their sons. It insists that women have the right to refuse a prospective husband. It gives women the right to divorce in certain cases, and it also gives women rights if their husband divorces them. Islam grants women many rights in the home and in society. Among them are the right to earn money, to financial support, to own property, to an education, to an inheritance, to being treated kindly, to vote, to a bridal gift, to keep their maiden name, to worship in a mosque, to a divorce, and so on. Now let's look at some gender roles in Islam. Husbands are the guardian of their families. Women and men are the wheels that make a vehicle work. However, men are given a larger proportion of qualities that make them stronger in terms of guarding their families. Islam has given men the responsibility of supporting their women and their families. Every husband has the obligation to provide for the sustenance of his wife. She should be provided with adequate food, a comfortable home, suitable clothes, and other basic amenities of life. He should always bear in mind that this woman has disassociated herself from her parents, brothers, sisters, relatives, and friends, and has joined him to share all the ups and downs of life. The husband should satisfy his wife's physical needs. In order to bring peace and prosperity in the married life, both the wife and the husband should take care of each other's sentiments and emotions. Gender roles continued. Be loving and caring to your wife. A man should understand that the woman he marries also has her own rights and desires towards her life, freedom and expectations from her husband. She must not be taken as a servant. Therefore, it is important that he meets the requirements of his wife, while a wife meets her set of requirements. Husbands have to be there for their wives during pregnancy. There is no argument on how modern age men sometimes disregard the importance and pain during pregnancy and treat it as an ordinary condition. However, Islam has given great significance to this matter as well. During this sensitive matter, it is not just a test for the wife alone, but also for the husband, as they will be giving birth to their future generation. Husbands are to bring up children together with their wives. Men and women play their part in giving birth to the fruit of the marriage, that is, children. Often our society dumps the matter of bringing up children on the wife alone, while ignoring that a father is equally responsible for this duty as well. Neither is it fair on a mother to wake up in the middle of the night to attend to the needs of a crying baby, nor is it fair on a mother to be held responsible alone. It is the right of the husband to help his wife, as well as an act of kindness. Gender roles continued. The wife's role is to be her husband's equal partner, supporter, and helper in life and in their spiritual journey together. Islamic wives are charged by the Quran with taking care not only of their husband's emotional and physical needs, but also of his household and any children they may have. If entrusted with her husband's money, the Quran says that she must carry out any related duties thriftily and efficiently. She must also nurture her marriage by loving her husband unconditionally and forgiving him of small mistakes. Husbands and wives are both responsible for aiding their spouse in the attainment of paradise. For example, wives are expected to dispense wise and thoughtful advice on the matters of morality and religion. The Quran also requires them to pray for their husband and children and to not take any action that would go against Islam. The Quran also dictates that Muslim wives must always put God's commandments above their husbands. The Quran emphasizes that wives should obey their husbands. However, this does not mean that they are slaves. It means that they should look to their husbands for guidance, indulge his wishes as he is urged to indulge hers, and refrain from action or words that have the potential to harm him. One of a Muslim's wife's most important duties is to watch over what belongs to her husband. This means never divulging his secrets to anyone, keeping marital problems and intimate issues inside the marriage, and always guarding his honor and reputation. A Muslim wife must be a sounding board for her husband and a source of counsel, someone he can speak with honestly on any subject without risking judgment or reproof.
Now we're going to look at the functionalist perspective on religion. The structural functional approach to religion has its roots in Emily Durkheim's work on religion. Durkheim argued that religion is, in a sense, the celebration and even self-worship of human society. Given this approach, Durkheim proposed that religion has three major functions in society: to provide social cohesion, to help maintain social solidarity through shared rituals and belief, social control to enforce religious-based morals and norms to help maintain conformity and control in society. And it offers meaning and purpose to answer any existential questions. Religion, he argued, was an expression of social cohesion. The primary criticism of the structural functional approach to religion is that it overlooks religion's dysfunctions. For instance, religion can be used to justify terrorism and violence. Religion has often been the justification of and motivation for war. In one sense, this still fits the structural functional approach as it provides social cohesion among the members of one party in a conflict. For instance, the social cohesion among the members of a terrorist group is high, but in a broader sense, religion is obviously resulting in conflict without questioning its actions against other members of society. And now for the conflict perspective. With this social conflict approach, Karl Marx argues that religion plays a significant role in maintaining the status quo. Marx argues that religion accomplishes this by promising rewards in the afterlife rather than in this life. By focusing attention on other worldly items, religion pacifies members by providing a worldview that deflects attention that would otherwise be directed at the inequalities of this world. It reinforces and promotes social inequality and conflict. It also leads to violence when it comes to religious differences.
Now we will take a look at the symbolic interactionist perspective on gender and religion. The symbolic interactionist approach to religion focuses on symbols and interactions and the role that it plays in our everyday life and how we interpret those religious experiences. According to Stephen Burkhan, symbolic interactionism emphasizes that beliefs and practices are not sacred unless people regard them as such. Once we regard them as sacred, they take on special significance and give meaning to our lives. Burkhan 2011. Symbolic interactionists study the ways in which people practice their faith and interact in houses of worship and other religious settings, and they study how and why religious faith and practice have positive consequences for individual, psychological, and physical well-being. Religious symbols indicate the value of the symbolic interactionist approach. A crescent moon and a star are just two shapes in the sky, but together they constitute the international symbol of Islam. A cross is merely two lines or bars in the shape of a T, but to tens of millions of Christians, it is a symbol with deeply religious significance. A Star of David consists of two superimposed triangles in the shape of a six-pointed star, but to Jews around the world, it is a sign of their religious faith and a reminder of their history of persecution. Religious rituals and ceremonies also illustrate the symbolic interactionist approach. They can be deeply intense and can involve crying, laughing, screaming, trance-like conditions, a feeling of oneness with those around you, and other emotional and psychological states. For many people, they can be transformative experiences, while for others, they are not transformative, but are deeply moving nonetheless. Next, we will look at the feminist perspective on gender and religion. Feminists view society as patriarchal or male-dominated. Many feminists view religion as patriarchal, which embodies and promotes inequality. Essentially, religious beliefs act as patriarchal ideology which legitimizes female subordination. Evidence of patriarchy. Though religion teaches equality between the sexes, there is evidence of patriarchy within many teachings. Religious institutions are male dominated despite the fact that women are more active in these institutions. For example, Orthodox Judaism and Catholic religions forbid women to be priests. One feminist, Karen Armstrong, views women's exclusion from becoming priests as evidence of marginalization. Places of worship segregate the sexes and marginalize women through seating them behind screens, as men occupy the main and more sacred spaces. Taboos of menstruation, pregnancy, and childbirth is viewed as pollution and may prevent participation. An example is when Islam view menstruating women as those unable to touch the Quran. Jean Home indicates this is a form of devaluation of women in modern religion. Sacred texts feature male gods and prophets, which are also written and interpreted by men. Stories depict anti-female stereotypes like Eve in the Christian story of Genesis, retelling humanity's fall from grace and expulsion from the Garden of Eden. Religious laws and customs provide fewer rights for women, such as in access to divorce. Religion's influence on norms can lead to inequality for women, like genital mutilation and punishment for sexual transgressions. Religion legitimizes and governs women's domestic and reproductive roles. We've come to the end of our presentation on gender and religion. We hope you all enjoyed it. Please join us now in the discussion forum as we explore the following questions. Do you think there is upcoming gender equality in the various religious groups in Trinidad and Tobago? Do you think citizens are open to gender equality in religious positions in the church? How significant is the influence of world religions on gender inequality and the social status of women? Which of the theoretical perspective on religion makes the most sense to you? Explain your choice. Thank you.